what's up everyone? Good morning from Las Vegas. Today I have Rudy Fernandez from Supreme Lending. Today I wanted to talk about money saving hacks for first-time home buyers or home buyers in general, and who better to help me than Rudy. Rudy's been in the business forever, super knowledgeable guy, always hitting me up, letting me know great programs that he has, things like that. This guy is so experienced and I'm so thankful to have him here. So, Rudy, good morning.
Good morning, man. Thanks for having me, Nate.
Thanks for being here. We do these things early, so thank you for coming early. How long have you been a loan officer?
So, funny story. I actually became a loan officer at a very young age.
Okay.
And then took 15 years off.
Wow.
I followed my passion of being a football coach and a PE teacher.
Oh, wow.
So for 15 years, I was a football coach and
Okay.
a PE teacher. And yeah, it was an amazing experience, and then came back into lending.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yes, I did watch the Super Bowl.
All right, so I'm a huge Eagles fan.
Okay.
So I think the defense just kind of sputtered at the second half because I thought we were going to kill it the second half.
I thought you guys were going to win too. Being a 49er fan, I was cheering for you guys.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are kind of special.
They are. And Mahomes is special. And I thought we had him when he started limping. And I was like, it's over. And then, okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
So what got you into lending?
So what got me into lending was my division president and my mentor, Joe Castro.
Okay.
He's been in the business for over 40 years.
Okay.
And like I said, at a young age, he was like, Rudy, this is for you. This is what you should do. And I followed his footsteps and I got in the business. And like I said, I took a little bit of a break there to, become a football coach.
Okay, that's awesome. I think following your passion is really important. And I think what we do is important because we help so many people, And how long have you been in Vegas doing lending?
So I've been in Vegas for just about a year.
Okay.
I was actually living in the Florida Keys before.
Okay.
We had an office here. We would visit pretty often. My family absolutely loves Vegas.
Okay.
And we've been here for about a year. It's been pretty amazing.
Okay. So you deal with all types of buyers, first-time home buyers, jumbo loans, things like that.
Yep.
Unless we're well off, we have to cut back.
Correct.
So what would you recommend for buyers, whether it's first-time home buyers, jumbo, on big things? What advice would you give back as far as cutting back on big things? Is it cutting back on vacations? Is it cutting back on, buying a newer car, things like that?
So, to buy a home, you have to cut back somewhere.
Yes.
So what I always tell, especially first-time home buyers, is people don't realize that when you get a car, you're actually paying for that car for 5 to 6 years.
Yep.
And for first-time home buyers, a lot of the time, it's not about their down payment or their credit score. It's usually their DTI, their debt-to-income ratio. And you're paying $600-700 for a car. It could affect your DTI.
Right.
So I always recommend, hey, if you're driving an older car, keep it.
Yeah.
Let's focus on getting into a home. Don't worry about getting a new car. That will come.
Right. Then you can go ape shit crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and now cars are so expensive. Like I remember a Ford truck was $20,000-25,000. Now Ford trucks I see trucks at $80,000-90K.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of money cars are costing.
It is insane.
Yeah.
I think there's some small ways to save money as well, whether it's coupons or not going to the nicest dinner or going to maybe a little bit of a cheaper dinner. So we talked about some of the big things as far as cutting back. What are some of the small areas that buyers can cut back? I know it seems frugal, but I mean, a Starbucks is $10-12. If you're stopping at a Starbucks once a day and you're spending $10, right? $10, that's $300. In 6 months, that's $1,800. Is my math right?
Yeah.
Something like that, right? And that's just one Starbucks. So if you're able to save, even on the small things, what are some things that you would, you could give advice as far as saving on the small items?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with coffee. People spend $5 to $12 a day on coffee, and then they go to lunch.
Right.
Right, and lunch is $10 to $20.
Yeah.
So I always recommend to people, make some extra food the night before. Take some leftovers. You can reuse containers. We spoke earlier about YouTube. You can definitely go to YouTube and figure out how to do some things around your house yourself.
Yeah.
And to me that's pretty important, because if you call a professional to fix something in your house, you're spending at least $500. There's times where we need a professional, But there's times where we can figure it out. And YouTube is amazing, actually, for that.
I agree. And even now, sneakers, Jordans, kids are paying thousands of dollars for sneakers. I remember when Jordans first came out, they were like $150, but let's buy a normal pair of sneakers, you know? You don't have to. I did another video talking about, don't buy that Rolex now or that BMW. Just buy a normal watch, a normal car, normal pair of sneakers, save your money. That'll help you in buying your house, but everybody's got to go out. Everybody's got to spend money at the high-end dinner and the we live in Vegas, right?
Right.
So how many cool restaurants are there in Vegas? But you'll drop $200-$300 on just two people.
Yeah.
Not that we're dating.
Right.
But if we were, I'd drop $200-$300 just on a normal dinner, right? So I think it's important to cut back, like you said, even reusing containers. You can YouTube on how to fix a faucet or other things like that. You know.
Definitely. And, I always tell first-time home buyers, we build a roadmap, a first-time home buyer roadmap. And I always tell, when I was buying my first home, my wife and I didn't go to dinner to a restaurant for about a year.
Right.
And we just decided, hey, let's build generational wealth through real estate.
Right.
And, we cut back. It's worth it at the end.
Yeah, and I also think now with the new generation coming in, they're a lot more, what's the word for it? They're very minimalism.
Right.
There's a lot more minimalism. They're not buying the 100-inch flat screen TV anymore. And now with like boxables, right? Boxables is just, a little living room, little kitchen. But so I think the newer generation coming in, I think they're going to be a lot, I don't want to say smarter, but I think more frugal, more efficient is a better word. When coming in and buying a house, I think the new generation is not going to be buying wanting to buy the biggest house. I think they're just going to want to buy a smaller, more affordable home.
Right. I agree with that.
So, last year, and probably in the last 2022 into 2021, I think the medium home price was like $450, pushing $500. Where do you see it now?
Right now, it depends on what parts of Vegas, but I would say the average would be right around $400, $375 to $400.
Okay.
And I think that's a great start for a first-time home buyer.
Right. So prices have dropped about 10%, which is what we thought.
Yeah.
Right. We said, drop 10 to 15%. Had a lot of people saying, it's going to be like 06, 07, 08.
Yeah.
Nah. That was a different time.
Completely different time. I'd hope we don't see that again.
I don't think we will, because I think lending guidelines now will stay where they are.
Right.
And before, there was negative AM loans, there was, a bunch of, and people thought that if they did like negative AM loans, the price would just keep creeping up. But eventually it's got,
Right.
I mean, prices of houses will never go back to where they were in the 70s, 80s,
Correct.
or 90s, right? So I think values will always do this, but on an upward basis. I don't think it'll ever do this.
I agree with that.
So, I was just showing, I have some listings now, and they're smaller. They're in the mid 300s.
Okay.
Back then, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, mid 300s, you're getting a pretty good sized house.
Right.
So for a first time home buyer, people that are looking to buy a house, I feel now is a good time because sellers are willing to pay costs. They're motivated. How much does a first time home buyer need to, let's just say, a $400,000 house, right?
Okay.
How much do they need for down payment, closing cost, appraisal, home inspection, things like that, just like all in. So this way, when they have that goal and they have that vision board and they have a number at the top of it, just a guesstimate, what do they need to save?
Right. So I would say you would need for a $400,000 home, you would need between $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay.
Right. And that would cover everything.
Okay.
And I think that's a pretty safe number. It's a doable number.
Yeah.
A lot of the misconception is first-time home buyers always feel they got to put 20% down.
Right.
Which is not accurate, right? You can get into a home with as little as 3% down.
Right. Right.
If you have 20%, go ahead and use it.
Right.
Right. But I always say, let's have a conversation. Let's get a roadmap together, and figure out a way to get you into your home.
Right. And that $25,000, that includes everything. That includes your appraisal, that includes your home inspection, your down payment, and your closing costs. And if it's a buyer's market, you could possibly get the seller to pay your closing costs.
Correct.
Which will take 3% off of that number. So, realistically, you're in the maybe $15,000 range or $16,000 range. And what we were seeing in the last couple months was sellers buying down interest rates.
Yep.
Right? Has that been common in the last few months?
It has been common in the last few months.
Okay.
So you have the seller buys down the rate,
Right.
and it's great, especially for people that are right there that don't feel comfortable with a monthly payment. You get 2 to 3 years of a lower monthly payment, and the seller's paying that for you.
Right.
Which to me is incredible.
Right. And I think in real estate, things change so fast. I get people telling me, I'm coming from California. What's the market like? Well, right now it's like this. But in 2 weeks, it could be totally different. And I think that's at least on my side, December, January was pretty slow. The first 2 weeks of February was slow. And the last 2 weeks of February has been insanity, at least under 400, 450. Are you seeing a lot more loan applications coming through?
Yeah. So like you said, November, December was a little bit slower. January, in the middle of January, picked up a lot more applications, and
Okay.
people have realized, let's take advantage that we're in a buyer's market. We don't know how long we're going to be in that buyer's market.
Right.
And people are getting seller concessions and buy downs, and it's pretty good, because if you're going in with $25,000 and you're getting 3%, now you got an extra $10,000 to, if you want to do repairs or whatever the case may be. And I just think it's important to take advantage of this opportunity, because we all know when the rates go back down, sellers aren't going to be giving concessions. They're going to go right back into a seller's market.
I agree. And I think it's important to think long term, right? So most buyers aren't going to buy new. Most first time home buyers aren't going to buy new because it's higher taxes, higher HOA. The cost of materials now is a lot higher.
Right.
So most of the time they're going to buy a resale home. And I tell buyers all the time, hey, it's not just your down payment. It's not just, the appraisal and whatnot. You got to think, when you get into that home, you have no idea what it's been through.
Correct.
Right? So you might have to replace flooring, and you might have to just start one room at a time, which is more economical, right?
Right.
So how much, and it's kind of an open-ended question, right? But I think most homes, like the boom here was maybe the 90s, early 2000s, so now we're at 20 years old home,
Right.
20-year-old home, 25-year-old home, 30-year-old home, which is crazy. It's crazy to think that the 90s are like almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, it is.
Man, I think I'm getting a little older. How much money do you think a first-time home buyer would need for like repairs or replace flooring or kitchen countertops? I know it's really an open-ended question, but let's say a $400,000 house is about 1,600 square feet on average,
Okay.
right? So, house is 25, 30 years old. How much extra do you think, if it's possible, they can put to the side to do some repairs or updates?
That's a great question. So first thing I always tell first-time home buyers is you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Let's focus on what needs to be done so your family is comfortable.
Right.
Right? If you buy a house and the carpet's disgusting, that's probably something you're going to want to replace.
Right.
I always recommend to have $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
If you can have it, and then with these seller concessions, that's a way to be able to have those $5,000 to $10,000 to fix things. But the key is, don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
When we bought our first house, we did everything in steps. It took us about 3 years, and we got everything done, and we had our dream home at that moment.
Right. And don't get impatient.
Correct.
Right? Nothing's going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, but they also have to understand, as a primary listing agent, I come in, I'm cleaning the carpets, I'm wiping down baseboards, because you don't know, moving into that house, could have had 2 dogs and a cat. Right now I have a situation with a house where the lady passed away, the boyfriend's in there just vagrant, he's just smoking and drinking all day.
Oh, man.
And you can just smell it, and it's just so bad. So trying to get him out, but once we get him out, it's damage control.
Correct.
Right? So even though we're able to kind of freshen it up and put lipstick on the pig, once you get in there, you start to really find out what that house has been through.
Correct.
So I think it's really important to have money on the side to, make those repairs or make those adjustments once you get in the house.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you have to have a little bit of money for emergency situation,
Yeah.
especially when buying a house that's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to have that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So tell me your best success story.
Oh, so my best success story is a young man named Chris.
Okay.
I worked with him for over 18 months.
Okay.
And when we first spoke, he wasn't ready to buy a home.
Okay.
And we did a roadmap to home ownership.
Sure.
And we spoke every couple months, and finally was able to get a home. And he's a young man. He moved over here from Jamaica
Oh, wow.
about 4 years ago. And we worked together, and he got his home, and it's a beautiful home. And to me, it's gratifying to see someone that worked so hard and did everything they needed to do to get a home.
Right.
And it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. You know, I deal with a lot of, different types of clients. Sometimes I get a family that has 5 kids and they just need a house with 5 bedrooms. Doesn't matter where it is. Sometimes we get that, that baller that wants the high rise, right?
Right.
Obviously, people that with more means, it's a lot easier. But I'm like you. I love, and there's so much gratification, like you said, in helping that person that came from another country, worked hard, saved every penny, worked long hours, sometimes 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and and really that hard work to get that house, and to have them sign those papers and give them that key, it's super gratifying.
Yeah, to me that's the best part of the job, is helping people accomplish their dreams and start building generational wealth.
Exactly. Generational wealth is so important because inflation, right? The cost of living continuously goes up.
Yep.
So everything that you're saving now, 20 years from now, isn't even going to make a dent in what, an apple now is $1.
Correct.
Right? I mean, an apple used to be a quarter.
Yeah.
Right? And it'll never go back down. So it's better now to not rent, buy something small, at least you're gained something and you're able to pass it down or eventually sell it or move and pay for your kids' college fund or whatever that looks like, right?
Yep.
So is there any programs out there for first-time home buyers that, that can help them in maybe down payments or closing costs or anything like that?
Yeah. So here in Vegas, we have a Home is Possible,
Okay.
which is a great program. It does have a credit.
Okay.
You have to have a credit of 640, and it has a cap, an income cap of $105,000. And then we also have Home is Possible and Home Ready. That's from Fannie and Freddie, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. And then my company, we have something called the Supreme Dream,
Oh, okay.
which is a down payment assistance program forgivable after 5 years. And that one does not have an income cap. It has a credit cap. You have to have a credit score of at least 620. For all down payment assistance programs, you got to have at least a 620. For Home is Possible, you got to have a 640. But they're pretty amazing. And it's something that I believe that all buyers, especially first-time home buyers, should try to take advantage of.
So your program in-house is called
The Supreme Dream.
the Supreme Dream, and it doesn't have a cap on income,
Doesn't have a cap on income.
which is unheard of.
Yep.
Home is Possible and the other ones, you can only make so much because they're helping the home buyer that, the blue collar worker.
Correct.
Right? But the fact that is it forgivable after 5 years?
It is forgivable after 5 years.
So it's a grant after 5 years.
Correct. As long as payments are made on time for 5 years, it's completely forgivable.
That's amazing. I've never heard a lender do that, ever. And to have that low of a credit score, it's even below Home is Possible.
Correct.
Are the interest rates competitive?
The interest rates for a program are a little bit higher than the other down payment assistance programs, but it's still completely forgivable.
I was just going to say, you're wiping it clean after 5 years, right?
Correct.
I've never heard that. That's so great. So tell everyone something about yourself that nobody knows, other than being a football coach.
Right. So I love free diving and spearfishing.
Wow.
It is.
Never would.
Yeah. It is my hobby. It is my passion. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. So
Okay.
it's, when you're in the water, it's just a great feeling. You're swimming. I do a lot of reef diving. So between 20 to 50 feet, and everything's free diving. It's pretty fun. We do a lot of spearfishing. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome to do. You said it's really amazing. You haven't seen me in the water. It's not amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a 6'3" tall log that's just kind of rolling through the tide. Where's the coolest place that you've ever dived or spearfished?
Abaco, Bahamas. In the Bahamas and Abaco, it's unbelievable that you can see everything. The amount of fish you see, a lot of sharks, which is always fun.
How does that feel?
I'm not scared of sharks. I swim a lot with sharks. Some of my buddies I dive with don't like it.
Right.
But if there's sharks, there's also fish that we want to eat.
True.
So.
Very, very true. Wow. So you're telling me you can't see the fish in Lake Mead through the water?
I have not done any free diving in Lake Mead yet. I'll let you know how that goes.
I don't think I would ever free dive in Lake Mead. For Lake Mead, I feel bad. It's like the stepchild.
Yeah.
So tell everyone how they can find you.
Yeah, so you can give me a call. You can go to my website, social media, and just look me up. Rudy, the mortgage coach. And yeah, I'm here to help and looking forward to helping first-time homebuyers.
Super knowledgeable guy. Didn't even know about the Supreme Dream, which is great. I'll probably actually end up calling you on a couple guys I have come from San Francisco. So yeah, thank you so much for being here first thing in the morning. And give this guy a call. Great programs. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.